Good evening. President Bongbong Marcos says a recent collision of Philippine and Chinese vessels in the Ayungin Shoal is not enough to invoke a mutual defense treaty with the United States. The collision between Chinese and Philippine vessels on Tuesday damaged a Philippine Coast Guard vessel, while the Chinese use of water cannon against another Philippine vessel injured Navy personnel. The U.S. earlier condemned China's reckless disregard for the safety of Filipinos and for international law, while reaffirming its mutual defense treaty with the Philippines. The 1951 treaty between the Philippines and United States binds them to defend each other if under attack. But Marcos believes it is not the time nor the reason to invoke the mutual defense treaty. Marcos nonetheless views the continuing dangerous maneuvers and actions against the Philippine Coast Guard with great alarm. He adds that the Philippines will make our objections known, hoping to continue communicating with China in order to prevent such actions in the disputed waters. President Bongbong Marcos says the recent reported presence of China vessels in Benham Rise is a clear intrusion into Philippine territory and a matter of great concern. According to Marcos, the cited Chinese vessels are suspected to be more than ordinary research vessels, which adds to tension already present in the West Philippine Sea. The president says the two countries could have come to a very simple agreement if they were truly research vessels. Philippine authorities earlier confirmed an American maritime expert's report that two Chinese vessels had been spotted loitering in the northeast corner of Benham Rise on Sunday, March 3. Benham Rise is part of the Philippine continental shelf and is inside the country's exclusive economic zone. Southeast Asian and Australian leaders warn against actions that endanger peace in the South China Sea. This comes amid heightened tensions in the disputed waters after Chinese vessels' dangerous maneuvers led to a collision with Philippine ships. The China Coast Guard had also fired water cannons against Philippine vessels, injuring at least 4 Philippine Navy personnel. A joint declaration between the 10-nation Asean bloc and Australia says it recognizes the South China Sea as a sea of peace, stability, and prosperity, encouraging countries to avoid unilateral actions that endanger peace in the region. In a joint declaration, the countries stressed the need for the code of conduct in the South China Sea that is consistent with international law, including the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. China claims almost the entirety of the South China Sea, ignoring legal precedents and competing claims from a host of Southeast Asian nations, including the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia. President Bongbong Marcos attended a special summit between the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and Australia to mark 50 years of dialogue partnership. Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri says he personally told President Bongbong Marcos that passing proposed amendments to the Constitution may face a problem and is in fact a challenge in the upper chamber. In a press conference, Zubiri maintains he did not ask for Marcos's help to convince senators who are against economic charter change.
But I mentioned to him, I didn't ask him, I just mentioned to him that there may be a problem and I didn't ask his help. Amendments to the Constitution is solely the prerogative of Congress. Wala po tayong hiningin tulong sa kanya because it's more an independent issue by Congress and the Senate.
The Senate is currently leading talks on economic charter change under Marcos's directive. Marcos earlier stressed the need to ease restrictive provisions of the Constitution to allow more foreign direct investments in the Philippines. While he admits that the fresh Chacha bid in the Senate remains a challenge, Zubiri notes that it's still possible that the upper chamber may gather 18 votes to pass resolution of both houses number 6.
We could still get 3/4 vote, 18 signatures, or 18 votes, but at this point in time, it's a challenge. So we work on the challenge one step at a time. There's still a majority of senators that are okay with the economic provisions. There's just not that question or that concern that it might trigger a voting as one issue or a justiciable issue. So we're trying to, yan ang inaayos natin na yun para masagot. Pero again, as I said, as I answered at the selling, it's a challenge.
Senator Amy Marcos formally joined Senator Robin Padilla in his bid to block a Senate panel's contempt order against alleged sex offender Apollo Quiboloy. In a press conference on Wednesday, Senator Marcos says she already talked with Padilla regarding the matter, adding that other Senate panel members are likely to join their call. However, Senator Marcos reveals they are yet to reach the needed vote of 8 to withdraw the contempt order. Despite Quiboloy repeatedly skipping the Senate probe, Senator Marcos says he should be given the chance to defend himself.
Ayaw naman natin na kinukuyog ang mga tao. They have rights to due process. They have a right to defend themselves and against self-incrimination. Bakit hindi naman kinikilala yun? Kaya't siguro huminahon tayo at wag naman natin na inaapi yung tao.
Meanwhile, Senator Francis Tolentino discloses in a separate press conference that Padilla is now in pursuit to gather enough signatures. 2 transgender Filipinos are currently facing charges for assault and battery after a fight involving around 20 Filipinos and 4 Thai trans women in Bangkok, Thailand. The fight occurred at a restaurant on a street near Nana BTS station on Monday night, resulting in 1 Thai being injured. According to Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Eduardo De Vega, there were originally 3 Filipinos being investigated, but only 2 are facing raps. He says the Philippine Embassy in Bangkok will assist the 2 Filipinos, adding there is an expected hearing on Friday, March 8. On the other hand, De Vega says there was another transgender Filipino who was not a part of the altercation, but was attacked by Thais. He added that the 4th Filipino trans woman is also planning to file charges with the help of the Philippine Embassy. According to De Vega, all 4 were tourists in Thailand, but police are still currently investigating if they were engaged in the sex trade. De Vega says around 20 other Filipino transgenders have already left their hotel to either transfer or go back home to the Philippines after receiving threats from Thais. The Cannes Film Festival is among those grieving the death of Jaclyn Jose. Jose was the first Filipina to win the Best Actress award in the prestigious Film Fest in France. The film festival pays tribute to Jose in a social media post, remembering how the actress's face beamed with emotion when she received that award in 2016 for her role in Brillante Mendoza's film Marosa. It adds that Jose embodied her role with grace and humanity. Jose died of a heart attack on Saturday, March 2, at the age of 60. Here's the latest roundup of today's top stories. President Marcos says recent collision of Philippine and Chinese vessels in the South China Sea not enough to invoke a mutual defense treaty with the United States. Senator Amy Marcos formally joined Senator Robin Padilla in his bid to block a Senate panel's contempt order against alleged sex offender Apollo Quiboloy. And 2 Filipino trans women face assault and battery raps after a fight involving around 20 Filipino and 4 Thai trans women in Bangkok. These are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.